everyone. I just made some yellow cards so I can, direct my speech a little bit. So as Don already mentioned, I'm originally from the Netherlands. I have a different ethnic background. My mom is Indonesian, my father is Dutch, and I come from the east part of the Netherlands. Most people call it Holland. I call it Netherlands because geographically Holland is only the western part, so that's why you hear me sometimes say the Netherlands. I have a background in social geography, and this is also my interest in geographical information systems. I study areas and really look at social economic phenomena within these areas, and specifically now the Castro, I create the maps and look at all kinds of other demographic information. I've done it for other organizations. I actually did it also for the San Francisco Chronicle. I forgot to mention that. And so that's kind of like my my interest. And let's see, I want to talk a little bit about first how I came to the US and what kind of ideas I had about the Castro. First, about the Dutch assimilation principle, that was kind of like my idea when I came to the US. It's kind of like you have to assimilate. This is like a overwhelming social principle of Dutch society where you have to assimilate. You have to really adjust to the mores that is around you. One of the things that my parents always said is a do normaal, which means act normal, and if there would be a Dutch person here in the room, that would, buck up and immediately behave. So that's kind of the thing what you had to do. And it also was adopted by the LGBT community in some ways, where it's kind of like you want to assimilate, be part of society, and that's what you would strive for. When I told my friends, oh, I'm going to move to the Castro, they were not very happy. They were going like, you're going to a ghetto. A ghetto is kind of like, as some told me, it's a neighborhood where members of a minority group are forced to live. It's kind of like a negative thing, where there's, they move there for social, legal, or economic pressure, and it's kind of like, limiting opportunities. It's kind of like you have no choice. It was negative. When at one point I actually moved to the Castro, and this is actually, I love telling this story. I came to the Castro, was supposed to stay with a friend. Friend did not show up, so I was there at 10 o'clock in the morning with my bicycle and my suitcase, and did not know where to go. It's kind of like, okay, my airplane ticket is 3 months from now, so what do I do? So then I thought, okay, this is the Castro, let's go to the post office, get a P.O. box, set things up. And I started talking to people in the post office on 18th Street, and I talked to a real estate agent. She was there, and she said, oh, you're from the Netherlands, and you look a little bit tan. Are you Dutch Indonesian? And she told me that she had a Dutch Indonesian girlfriend. And then we started talking more, and she said, are you allowed to work here? And I said, yes, I have a visa, but there's a slight problem. I still do not have a place to live. And she said, oh, that's no problem, because people are selling buildings, so you can stay in one of those places, and that's that. So I found a place and a job in one afternoon. And that is kind of like the importance that I see of the Castro. It's kind of like a community where you move to, and you just, that was 11 years ago. And so my opinion has changed over time. First it was like the ghetto, now I see it as an enclave where I choose to live. I don't really see it as a negative thing, and I have like other nice stories. Like one of the neighbors there had a store, and he at one point told me, I really have to go. It's very urgent. And I stood in his store and going like, okay, so you're going to close the store? I said, Tito, can you stay for 10 minutes? And I'll be right back. So I sit there in the store, cash register is there, all the stuff, and and then after 10 minutes he comes back and says thank you. And that's, to me, that's part of the neighborhood. I feel very comfortable that people are actually trusting another person, and living that. So that for me is very important. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is that the Castro is actually, I see it as a political power base, because people are living in a neighborhood where, as I read somewhere, there were district elections that paved the way for Harvey Milk to be San Francisco's first gay supervisor. So I think it's very important that an area like the Castro neighborhood is a geographical base that actually created a political base. And then the question then follows is, why is a GLBT geographical base so important? Well, I come then back with the Netherlands, and one thing that is very interesting there is that there's a separation of residential and business. Several people go like, okay, where is the gay neighborhood? And said, well, there is not really a gay neighborhood, there's a gay business district. You have the Warmoestraat, where a lot of leather bars are. You have the Kerkstraat, you have certain streets where the business are, but everybody lives kind of like all over the place. And there's no real geographical base like the Castro. And I thought, by also looking a little bit at the history in the last 20 years, that is also a detriment. Especially like if you, the COC is the National Gay Organization in the Netherlands, LGBT, and it said on the website, and I was part of that movement, is that in the 1990s, LGBT emancipation was seen as complete. You had marriage, gay events, adoption was possible, you had the gay game, so why worry? And also the last time when I came back, situation changed. Certain things were not as, it's to me, it's not anymore the gay capital of the world. Several friends of mine moved to Berlin because they felt more comfortable there. Things that happened, for example, politician Pim Fortuyn got killed in 2002. Also, demographically, a lot of neighborhoods have Muslim immigrants, and they, you know, are sometimes not very tolerant towards homosexuality. There was even one imam that really really said not such nice things what you have to do to gay people to get rid of them. The other thing is also politically the government changed. It was a more conservative government, less tolerant, so the whole situation changed, and so there was not a real geographical base where people would feel, you know, that would empower them and that we could go further. And as I also heard last time Gail Rubin mentioned Magnus Hirschfeld, for me he is always a symbol of an historic example of a society that progressed on the issue of gay rights and went backwards. So I really think it's very important to have a geographical base. And I was talking within the Castro Coalition with Alan Martinez, talking about these issues, kind of like, because he said, yeah, the Netherlands, and told them these kind of stories. And also we talked about the info projects, and the question of what are gay neighborhoods arose. And so more people got involved, and of course from that, you know, the Castro Coalition came a very nice, diverse group of people, which I really think is very important, even though everyone knows demographically the Castro is predominantly white and male. I still think it's very important to have that diversity and emphasize that. Oh, and talking about infill projects, if anybody is interested, I created these maps actually showing the infill projects in the Castro with, you know, how many units can be built, and it's also basis for the discussion that we had. It's going like, okay, now we have a lot of possibilities. What are we going to do, and who are we going to build for? So talking about the Castro Coalition, and you already mentioned it before, 3 minutes only. So I don't want to go on too far into that, but the thing what they want to do is to have social and cultural LGBT institutions back into the Castro, and the overall goal, I think, is also to get the Castro neighborhood as an LGBT area in the general plan of San Francisco. I think there is a general plan in San Francisco, and that guides development in the city of San Francisco. It can dictate specific elements such as zoning. An example of general plan elements are community facilities, housing, transportation, and there are also general plan areas that have been done so far and addressed so far. It's a civic center, Rincon Hill, a lot of people know about that. You also have Chinatown and Bayview Hunters Point, and especially those two areas, the last areas, are very important because after also discussing with other people in the Castro Coalition, it said, look, well, we can, certain communities cannot be part of that general plan, and then Damien Quesnel, my partner here, raised the question and said he did research and said that wasn't true, because you have Bayview Hunters Point and Chinatown, and those are, you know, African American and Chinese American. So why should we not have a LGBT part in the general plan?